talking when racing's a blast. Just here on the High Octane Podcast.
And welcome to the High Octane Podcast. My name is Zach Woods, and over here is, if you've been a longtime viewer of Spin Move iRacing Network, you'll remember David Modespa. Say hello to the internet, Dave. Oh, it's been so long.
It has been such a long time. I apologize for my absence, but I've been doing some crazy things, and all of that, of course, we can get into at a later date. But glad to be back. Glad to be alongside you, Zach. It has been forever, and man, it is just so great to be back in some sort of broadcast booth, some sort of production. So glad to hop on here and make this show with you tonight.
Really excited to have a show for you guys. Ricky is actually in the middle of moving right now, so he is packing a bunch of stuff, and had a good talk with him earlier today. And I was sitting in my chair going, man, it'd be really nice to talk about Friday Night Fuel. I know Ricky is really busy. To be fair, I've had a crazy busy week as well. But you know, we've gone down to this bi-weekly schedule here for High Octane, and man, I really felt like they were looking forward to a show here to end the regular season. And sitting there looking on Xbox, I'm like, oh, there he is. There's David. And yeah, for anybody that is newer to Friday Night Fuel that might not know, David is my best friend, and he and I went to middle school and high school together, and we both got on iRacing and started Spin Move Racing, and been teammates. And David's gone and seen the world and served our country and just graduated college. And David's a busy dude, and he works more than most. And yeah, to get him on a random Thursday night, what a treat.
Super glad to be here, and like you said, pretty busy dude most of the time, so I haven't been around really this much for Friday Night Fuel season, but great to hop in here, at least be a part of something for the season. And hopefully here near the closing weeks, I might come in and maybe do some RC at the very least, just to stay out of everybody's way and make sure I don't mess up anybody's playoff run. But we'll get into all that later on with all the opportunities that everybody has.
Absolutely. You can see here on our rundown, we have a couple races to go over as a group: Sonoma and Michigan recap, as well as a points update, a regular season points update for all of you. And then our pit stop tonight will be news about the Friday Night Fuel points and how that's going to work come playoff time. Man, all that food there looks so good. I'm totally gonna I'm gonna go over here, and I'm not gonna eat on the internet, for the whole show, but it's been a long time since I've ate. Thank you. And this is really hot. Okay, don't eat on the internet. So, hey, we're just having a good time now. So we have ultimately, there we go, 2 races to get through. A pit stop talking about points. So let's get into it. When it comes to going left and right, drivers were in for a challenging experience over at Sonoma with no full course cautions. Only one caution was thrown for the halfway stage break. John Gutekunst is right now on a tear in Friday Night Fuel. Having as many wins as he does, 4, puts him to the top of the pylon come playoff time. We'll talk about playoff points and things like that, as John's going to get a whole bunch of points in his pocket for more wins. The driver of the day really was Spencer Teal, and ultimately he wasn't able to overcome some difficulty there on the back half of the race. But John put up a clinic. John, Spencer, Ryan Seabright had a really good race, had podium speed, and then myself and then Nate Esep finishing one lap down. But there were drivers here that took on a very slick and challenging track in Sonoma, David. It was way hotter than expected, and so getting traction on exit was pretty difficult. And for the most part, there wasn't anything super catastrophic that happened, but certainly a challenging track for the next gen and this field. You want to talk about maybe how much you love Sonoma with all your heart, or you're gonna sit there for an hour and look at me, or I mean, I know you're rusty, but any thoughts
Sonoma
on Sonoma?
being what it is, as a track, I'm glad that's one of the tracks that, oh darn, unfortunately I work. But I'm glad that y'all went out there. I'm glad that y'all tried it. For being a hot and slippery track, it sounds like some guys had some really good night there at Sonoma, despite the poor conditions, so to speak. But as road courses go, the lefts, the rights, you just got to roll with the turns. And it sounds like there might have been a few drivers in the field. I know I had talked to Zach afterwards. A lot of times those road courses just become a race to survive. So glad to hear that there was only one full course caution. I'm sure there was plenty of spins and other things to talk about, but there is certainly something to be said of keeping the track clear enough where we only had to throw one caution for that stage break. And it's glad to bring everybody back together at that stage break, get it going again. And certainly provides a little bit of nuance that you don't see in some of these other leagues, even with stage points. I know that we have done it in the past where we have just raced through that stage caution and continued right on through. So a little bit of a breath, a little bit of a refresher to see that everything went well.
Yeah, and in my opinion, the leap of faith to try Sonoma, I know with this group, it has never really been a part of our conversation. So I kind of felt selfishly, I was like, man, I was just starting to understand Watkins Glen, and now we're throwing Sonoma in the mix. So, but it was fun. It was challenging. The elevation is what makes Sonoma so special, so different, and really feeling like you can attack going downhill. And it was a good race. Good to see John get another win. And yeah, really hate it for Spencer. I know that. I mean, by the time stage rolled around, he was gone. I mean, so far in front of the field, and uh, just some misfortune happened on the back end of that race that cost him to not get the win. I told Spencer earlier this week, one day you will win, and I will throw a dang parade for you, because heartache just finds him wherever he goes, and really rooting for him. So we go from turning left and right to then turning our attention to Michigan. Michigan featured 3 cautions for 10 laps across this 100 lap event, and Ricky Gonzalez winds up winning at Michigan. And it was for strategy that came down towards the end of this one. Ricky out Zach Woods, because as the race unfolded, there was a split strategy through the field, and it opened up an opportunity for some drivers to really take advantage and only put 2 tires on their cars. And I was probably about sixth, 7th. And ultimately, this is Ricky texting me. But and ultimately, I was like, I think I can leapfrog all these guys, and got down to the last pit stall. And I'm flying through the tri-oval trying to get him, because if I get in front of him, I'm going to make it really hard. And he scooted out a few car lengths in front of me, and man, he was gone. So Ricky Gonzalez winds up winning at Michigan. Wes Fuller, who is taking a step back from full-time racing, comes in at Michigan, very opportunistic, really fast. He was up front, battling with that front group. He comes away second. I finished third. Greg Wood Jr., who has made his way back into Friday Night Fuel as a part-time driver, mainly because his dad wanted to get into Sonoma and was like, hey, man, I need some help. And Greg was like, okay, I'll help you. So Greg finishes fourth. And then a name who we know is around in Friday Night Fuel only because we have Old Texas on the schedule. Caleb Collins made an appearance and got a top 5 at Michigan. So, uh, really fun racetrack. Like, personalities can come out. You can rip the fence. You can be disciplined. You can go anywhere and make some moves. Ultimately, it was up to you and how to attack the track. And then, much like most real life Michigan races, it comes down to field strategy.
Absolutely. Michigan is one of the tracks that I am very disappointed to have missed. As you mentioned, it is a multi-groove racetrack. So much fun, fast racing. You have a little bit of drafting going on. The field, of course, as you mentioned, coming down to strategy at the end. There is nobody that loves to play fuel strategy more than myself when it comes to races. So a track that very heartfelt to me, at least. So it does hurt quite a bit to have taken as much of a step back as I have this season, and of course to miss that race. But I am so glad you guys went there, had a great time. Sounds like y'all had a fantastic green flag race for the most part, 3 cautions for 10 laps. So y'all, of course, putting the season together like you have, really getting things going. And of course, the green flag racing just makes for the events to be a little bit more fun and have the drivers a little bit more lighthearted. You start talking about some of the other tracks where you start racking up cautions. That's where the tempers flare and it really just doesn't become fun for anybody.
Yeah, and part of it, has been Friday Night Fuel's battle with car counts. I mean, you had 12 entries here at this race. A few weeks ago, I believe, I'm just going to look real quick over at Auto Club, which was the race that Ricky won. Yeah, we had 16 entries over in Auto Club, and I really thought like, hey, this could be a step in the right direction. And then you go to Sonoma, a road course, and some people don't want to race those, and then you find yourself back into the groove of things with Michigan. So we're hoping with some of the news that we're able to unveil tonight with the points and how all that's going to work, we got those car counts back up, because we're going to learn very quickly everyone has something to race for. And whether you're a part-time driver or full-time driver, there's a goal out there for you here in Friday Night Fuel. We want people to feel like, hey, not only do I have an opportunity to have some great racing, right, green flag runs, competitive field, but I have a chance, whether I'm part-time or full-time, to get a payout. And we're gonna talk about that here in a little bit. So taking a look at Michigan overall, thought tire wear was a much bigger part of the conversation than what I anticipated it being. You could run the daylights out of the car, and depending on how you use the car in the corners, you either tore up your right front or tore up your right rear, like leaning on the right rear on exit. And it was really cool to see like an iRacing event with comers and goers. Like, clean air mattered. Uh, Caleb Collins led the beginning portion of this race, and he was boogieing after a long while of not racing with the field. And he was just like, I don't know what y'all are complaining about. My car's doing great. And he put on a great show. But it did come down to tire consumption, because those guys on 4, at least from my perspective, like Wes, he came up and passed me. Greg Wood, I mean, if he would have had like another lap, he probably would have passed me too. Those guys on 4 at the end were really, really coming. But Ricky finishing almost 6 seconds ahead of Wes really made 2 tires work. Got to adjust how he drove and just ripped the fence there towards the end of this thing. Am I making you miss it?
I certainly do miss racing with y'all. And like I said, Michigan, again, just the multi groove racing, as you mentioned, depending on the weather, of course, the tire wear that eventually plays into that fuel strategy come that long run. You can be as great as you want to be at saving the fuel, but if you don't have the rubber behind you to pick the speed up come the end of the race, none of that matters. So
Nope.
glad to see that the strategy is still playing out the way that I've always anticipated. You have to be able to save a little bit of both, get yourself some decent tires, some decent fuel in the car, and then of course coming down to the end of the race, pretty normal. You have that 4-tire strategy, that 2-tire strategy. Do the 4-tire guys have enough to chase those 2-tire guys down? So glad to hear that racing, even if it is a somewhat smaller field than what we would like, glad to hear that it is still very competitive and guys are still working those strategies to get that advantage as much as they can.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to see how competitive this field is as we take a look at the points update. I'm going to bring them up here on the screen for you guys now. This is the regular season points update, and don't get flustered that there's only 13 drivers here on the board, because we're going to talk later on in our pit stop how full-time drivers and part-time drivers are going to factor into playoff action. But you can see all these drivers up here have been putting on a great show, and we only have one more race to go here in the regular season. And you can see on the board, the biggest mover of last week's action was Mark Gonzalez. He was 10th in points and jumped all the way up to 6th. Last year's champion is really making a push, just trying to get the best seating he possibly can to start a possible title defense. So I'm really excited to see what Mark winds up doing. And some of these guys here in the points, I'm trying to figure out names right off the top of my head. I know Spencer, he's a part-time driver. And then Caleb Collins is also a part-time driver. A guy that I want to highlight for you, David, Jerry Cokes. He has raced 6 times this season, and he's put in a lot of work in order to get points, in order to work on his racecraft. And Jerry's been away from iRacing for a long, long time. And he's now dipping his toes back into iRacing here with Friday Night Fuel. And it all looks like Jerry is going to be able to make the playoffs. So great story there from a guy who is just getting started in trying to figure all of this out.
As a part-time driver, being able to come back to iRacing after a long absence, that's what I'm going to be looking at. Maybe not quite as long as Jerry, but from what I understand, he's been doing a great job putting those finishes together. From what I can see, he has 6 starts on the season. So getting that rust knocked off, getting the feeling, of course, a name that's coming into this league this season. So getting a feeling for the drivers he's racing around on top of knocking all that rust off, a very impressive way to put things together. And of course, having a shot at making a playoff run for your first season back, so to speak, that's awesome. So congrats to Jerry. Keep racing well out there. Of course, we have a tougher track coming up, but we will talk all about that here in just a little bit. So keep your head up, but don't be disappointed if the angry little short track might rear its head and bite you a little bit. So stay positive out there. It does take a long time to come back, but glad to have you in our league. And of course, glad to see you doing well after this time.
Yeah, absolutely. And getting rid of the points. Actually, I want to take a peek back at him. Psych, we're gonna bring him back up here. I do know the second place driver, Ricky Gonzalez. We said at the top of the show he ain't here. That's why David's here. And Ricky's actually in the middle of moving. And Ricky told me that he actually doesn't have internet where he's going. So I think he's going to be busy moving in and all that stuff. So Ricky will be missing another race. Opening up the door slightly, I think Bill is very capable of making up the points needed, especially on a night where Ricky just won't get anything, right? So if Bill's able to play some strategy, get some stage points, and muscle together a good win, a good win. He doesn't need a win, but a good finish, as he often has been doing. Man, Bill could easily sneak his way into second just based off of points. Of course, we know when the playoffs come around that all resets, but great effort there from Bill this season. And a few other of these guys down the list. But with that said, we are done now with points as we're back here on the screen with you. And done with points in that regard is probably the best way for me to explain all this to you. Because our pit stop this week is going to look a little bit different than normal. normally when it comes to our pit stop, we try to just take a break from Friday Night Fuel and talk about real life racing or NASCAR 25, which goodness gracious, there's so much to talk about with that game. And we're getting closer and closer. And when it comes out, you will never see me again. And oh man, I'm so excited. But anyway, today we're going to be talking about what Friday Night Fuel racers can expect for the playoffs. As many folks know, we've been dealing with driver counts and just unexpected issues with that this year. And a lot of it comes from it's summertime. This is our first attempt in the dog days of summer to do something like this. And it showed. You saw the points graphic. There's only one driver in the whole field that has made all the races, and you're looking at him. And that is the only reason why I'm first in points. And there are guys in this field that if they were here every week, they would be up front. With that said, we had some conversations this past week over points because it's not necessarily written in the rule book, but we wanted to make sure that everybody in the field had something to race for. And maybe this encourages other people who have already paid, who are already a part of Friday Night Fuel, to race. So I'm going to lay out some points for people to tune in with. I don't have a graphic or anything like that. That'll be made available on the Discord tomorrow. And to explain, when we get past Richmond, we're going to change the points. We're going to go to the playoffs. And everybody, whether you're a part-time driver or full-time driver, have something to race for. But you got to know what you're going out there to try to get. So how does this work? Well, as agreed in the very beginning of the year, we have drivers competing to try to make the playoffs. And the last graphic that was posted on the Friday Night Fuel Discord server paints a picture that, if you've been paying attention, hasn't quite changed below the cutoff line for quite a little while. Because really, 12th on back, 12th to 17th, as they all compete for that 12th spot, they haven't raced for one reason or another. And I know in the last couple weeks, we've had some movement there at the bottom. But we wanted to figure out, okay, what's the best way to go about having a 12-car field make the playoffs that have earned it on what they paid into the league and what they're participating. And figured out that we're going to keep, as we've always intended, a elimination style chase. That's made available on the schedule, where drivers are going to be trying to compete across 3 sets of rounds. Round 1 is Talladega, New Hampshire, and Kansas, which Kansas is also a crown jewel race where drivers can compete for race payouts. Round 2 will feature Dover, Watkins Glen, and Indy, which is the last crown jewel of the season. Round 3 will feature Homestead, Gateway, and Atlanta. In the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, for drivers who qualify, which would be all full-time drivers, as the points graphic has said throughout the year, if you're in the top 12, you're in the playoffs. You can race round 1 and round 2, and if you win, you move on. And the rest of the field competes on points until we get to the 3rd round for these full-time drivers. When the 3rd round comes around, it's not like whoever wins Homestead is going to win the championship because, well, you got 2 more races left in the season. It's going to be a knock 'em out, drag 'em out points fight for 3 races between the final 4 drivers. And those are going to be the 12 full-time drivers who have posted the most points in Friday Night Fuel. We understand at the bottom of that, there's been some guys who haven't paid or who haven't raced in quite some time. But this is the most fair way to go about it. And here's why. Because we are adding another playoff for all part-time drivers and all the other drivers who are duking it out below the cut line. We are going to seed the drivers, especially those part-timers that you saw in that points graphic that have raced a substantial amount, but haven't paid a full-time entry. They're not in, they've only raced, 4 really good races or, 5 really good races. They're going to get seeded appropriately in our Sim Racer Hub spreadsheet. And ultimately, all those part-time drivers are going to compete with the full-time 4 or 5 that are left for a straight-up points battle for 13th. And you can have a payout at the end of the year. We wanted to make sure that drivers were getting payouts for crown jewel races where they finish in points. And we wanted to make sure that part-time drivers also felt included in this as well. Because there have been some awesome part-timers that have done a great job at helping us out with this field filler thing that we've combated all year. So when it comes to how everyone gets seated and what bonus points look like, whether you're a part-time driver or full-time driver, these rules apply. 5 points per win. So right now, John Goodekins is sitting real pretty because he's got 4 wins on the year. And he could very well win tomorrow. If we're picking drivers this week, watch out for John because he is really, really good on these kinds of racetracks that just seem to drive everybody else nuts. And there goes John zipping around Richmond. 15 points will go to the regular season champion, which is me. And we talked about earlier how, look, I'm only in this position because other people have summertime plans. And so 5 points per win, 15 for regular season champ, which means I'm going to get 15 points plus another 10 because I've been fortunate enough to win twice this year. While in the playoffs, if you win a race, whether you're a part-time driver fighting for 13th or a full-time driver trying to make it to the next round, you're not only going to move on, but you are going to be awarded with 5 extra points per win in the playoffs. So not only did you get those bonus points in the regular season, but now you can stack more and increase your buffer for the next round. Part-time drivers will be racing off of a straight-up points battle. There'll be no eliminations. It's just going to be a chase, a 9-race chase for those drivers competing for 13th. So even if you haven't quite joined yet, you can get 9 races underneath your belt, fly up those rankings pretty quickly. And the payouts for these drivers are drivers that finish 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in the points, as well as 5th, as the rest of that chase bracket is going to fight for 5th and 13th, which will be that spot reserved for all the part-time drivers who've done a great job here in Friday Night Fuel this year, and those unfortunate 4 or 5 full-timers that didn't make the chase. So that is a way in which we can try to incentivize. If you haven't been here, please come here. We want to have you here. There's stuff to race for. There's 2 more crown jewel races to win. There's part-time and full-time payouts for those things. You can definitely, absolutely make up your money that you wind up putting into this league, whether you're a part-time driver or a full-time driver. That's the kind of program we want to be running here at Friday Night Fuel. So, David, I know that was very long-winded, it's kind of a hybrid of the chase and the playoffs, with the not ridiculous single race ending. You got that round 3 more there at the end. What are your thoughts here on the playoffs and how we're trying to make sure everybody gets involved?
So, at least from the start, um, as an admin, I was part of this discussion to have this final, instead of let's battle it out at one track, one race for that championship. Let's have these drivers compete over several tracks, several different tracks of seeing who is our champion, who is the best driver that we have here in Friday Night Fuel. So, of course, for our full time drivers that make the playoffs, I would really love to see that continue on into our seasons to come, as long as we keep going. Um, but with all the other playoffs and payouts that are going on in between, I think that just adds to the excitement. So, as you mentioned, there's still crown jewel races left to go. There is the payouts for, so to speak, the best of the rest. There's playoffs for the eliminated playoff drivers. Everybody in the field, whether it's your first race with Friday Night Fuel because you decided, hey, there's 9 races here and I want to have a shot at that 13th place, or whether you've been around all season and you're competing for a playoff spot. There is money to be made. There is excitement to be had. There is chaos to follow at some of these tracks. Um, so it is excitement. I really hope that it helps boost the field count. We're now towards the end of summer. Guys coming back wanting to get a feel of things. And I think this is a great way to absolutely incentivize those part-time drivers that haven't been around all season. Hey, show up. We have 9 races to go. Chance for a payout, and not only a payout, but a payout that gets you most, if not all, of your money back at the end of the season. So why not come out? Why not try it? At least you have a shot of making most, if not all, of your money back over these next couple of races. So um, I think it's a great way to incentivize these drivers. And as an admin that hasn't been around, I haven't been a part of the admin conversations either. So I love to see how this came out of the admin chat, how you guys figured out a way to get some field fillers into the field, and hopefully how we keep them interested. I would love to see this style of playoffs, this style of payouts continue forward, like I said, into our next seasons, as long as we continue on.
Yeah, and it's been tough. I mean, generally, it's just kind of been rolling with the punches and trying to figure out, like, man, this is not a problem I thought we would have, and how do we make the best out of this? How do we make sure that, guys like Spencer Teal, guys like Caleb Collins, who are part-time drivers, I mean, Spence works. I know he works. Um, Caleb, he's got a lot of stuff going on. How do we reward those guys for even stepping through the door? That we want to make sure that everyone's taken care of. Like, this is how I think the best way to go about it. I'll offer payouts, fair payouts based on your participation in the league for every crown jewel race, not just for where you wind up at the end of the year. Make certain races feel bigger, make certain races feel special. And we've done that this year. And then try to maximize who in the points and who's eligible for what spot to get rewarded. If you're in the final 4, you deserve a notion of you did a great job. You were one of 4 best people in the league all year. If you're 5th, you've made the playoffs. And not only did you just make the playoffs, but you didn't quit after you were eliminated in the first round. You started digging up from 12th place and made your way, clawed your way, and finished 5th. Good job. We want to reward that. And then for anybody else, part-time or full-time, we want to give them incentive to continue racing. So here's 13th. Like, go out and pursue it. In the meantime, go win a crown jewel or 2. Just like you said, there's an opportunity here for you to make up what you put into it. And I think as an iRacer, man, that's all you could ask for. I know when I was looking for sponsorship deals and things like that, I'm not in this to make money. I just want to break even. And uh, for a long time, fortunate enough to have sponsors that uh, they were happy to hop on because I wasn't asking for a whole lot. It was just, hey, can we work something out between you, me, and this other sponsor where my entry fee's paid for? And I think every iRacer should try to pursue that ambition, and every league should try to put something out there where everybody has an opportunity, multiple opportunities, to find a pathway to make up what you put into the what you put into the league.
100%. And that 13th position especially. So I don't want to harp on it too much, but as a guy who, even when I do races, usually a middle of the pack kind of driver, and I like to try to stay out of everybody's way, race very cleanly. That is something that is very attainable for somebody with my racing style to go out and get something out of the league. So there have been so many leagues that Zach and I have been in that Zach can tell you, come playoff time, I am very demotivated. There is nothing there that I really want to go out and race other than just helping my teammates that are in the playoffs. I show up to earn my points and do my thing, but to have that payout there for 13th place, for 5th place, that is all the incentive you need to keep going. Hey, there is a chance I can make some, if not all of my money back. So, like I said, I think that is a great incentive to keep these drivers around, and hopefully we do see that field count maybe even increase with.
Oh, this is something. You and me alone. Hey, you're back. Wow. Hey, welcome. I gotta I cannot believe that just happened, but let me double check. Mic check. That's a throwback for anybody that's a longtime fan.
Do you got me?
Nope. Let me unmute you. Mic check.
Better now?
There we go. Yeah, I cannot wait for you to watch it because Starlink decided it wanted to hide behind a cloud or something, and your box went away, and I was huge on the screen. I was like, oh no.
David's internet strikes again, everyone. For those of you who have had the opportunity to race with me, I'm still on the same internet, and as you can see, even making videos, we can't get it to cooperate. So it's not just race time. I'm not doing it to mess with you while we're racing, I promise.
Oh man, that's wonderful. Oh, that's great. And for anybody who's been a longtime supporter of Spin Move iRacing Network, and you loved our old content, which, I mean, there's been so many people that tuned in back when we were just us doing our own thing, and drafting buddies, mic check, those shows, the recap shows that pretty much was the inception of this show. Man, we want to be able to get back to that place, and we're almost there. I'd like to think David has climbed the mountain. Congratulate him in the comments. He graduated from college after serving our country, then coming back here and then whooping college's butt. And then now we're so close. We're so close. And so the channel, hopefully, like, this is the stuff that we love. Like, man, yeah, over here. Like like to get in a booth, to commentate races, to have these kinds of discussions, to talk NASCAR, and that's the kind of stuff that, like, man, I cannot wait to get back to. When it comes to this show specifically for Friday Night Fuel, I cannot tell you guys how much I know we're like way off topic, but this is a pit stop and we've lost a couple lug nuts. So we're going to spend some more time here. I cannot tell you like how much I've enjoyed now for season 2 working with Ricky and being able to have him step in, and because nobody wants to come to a show and just watch me. So it is such a treat tonight to have you back here in Ricky's spot in a show where he's put a lot of hard work and effort into. And man, if we can get back to a place where like we're doing shows, Ricky and I are doing shows, man, this channel's gonna be popping. I cannot wait. But anyway, do you want to say anything on that, or I mean,
I am so thankful for Ricky stepping up, because really when this thing all started, I know the intent was more or less for me and Zach to get back to our old ways and doing things and step into doing the podcast like we used to. So so thankful to have Ricky step up, and I'm really grateful to see the growth in friendship that has come with you and Ricky doing these shows. It has been so amazing. For those that don't know, Ricky, Zach, and I had the opportunity to attend a real life NASCAR event in Atlanta. So that was an absolute wonderful time, and look forward to doing many more trips. Hopefully Ricky feels the same way. So again, Ricky, thank you for stepping in, and hope that you continue to carry the torch for just a little while longer while I get everything else sorted out now that I've graduated, and look forward to bringing these shows back up once I get situated.
yeah, and just for anybody that might be watching, just know like high octane, that'll be Ricky and my baby. And there is so much stuff that David and I used to do on this channel that we can just as easily like crank up the old theme song, start back up again. But as you saw, it's all because of his internet. So but anyway, let's get to Richmond. I know that was a long pit stop. We only got 4 lug nuts and we fumbled all of them. And now we're going to turn our attention to Richmond. David, do you got the track breakdown on Richmond? I'm going to make you work here for a little bit.
Absolutely. So Richmond Raceway, 3/4 mile D-shaped oval track in Richmond, Virginia. It's also known as America's premier short track. They've been holding NASCAR events since 1953. The track has 14 degrees of banking in the turns with another 8 degrees of banking there on the front stretch. So even when you're coming down that front straightaway, you're not entirely level. The only place you really get a little bit of a break is that back straightaway heading into 3 and 4. Some key takeaways. As I mentioned, the D-shaped oval. It is considered an asphalt surface. It was it is the home of the Toyota Owners 400 and Federated Auto Parts 400 NASCAR races historically. NASCAR first hosted their event in 1953 with a spectator capacity of approximately 51,000 fans currently. So a track that has a long history, being around since 1953, of course. Mentioning the straightaway banking at 8 degrees as well as the turns at 14 degrees really gives this track its character. And as a lot of drivers will tell you, this is a track that loves to absolutely shred tires. So you'll have to be careful looking forward to this week's event. Choose your line carefully. Keep in mind that even though you are racing at a short track, there is some tire, I won't really call it fuel strategy, but there's definitely some tire strategy that's going to play into your race. So keep an eye on what those fast guys up front are doing. They might be burning a little bit more rubber than they had planned for, so you can catch them later on in your run. But also keep an eye on those guys that are hanging out towards the front but not making a push for that leader. Those are the guys that are most likely running the line, saving that rubber that you want to try to imitate.
Yeah, not excited. I have a hate relationship with this racetrack. I'm not good here, and I'm just going to try my best to manage tire well and try to figure some things out. But I've never really raced good here. And like I said, I think looking forward into this weekend, if John Gutekunst is there, man, it's going to be really, really hard to beat him. He's great on sort of the more like Richmond isn't like totally. It's not like New Hampshire. It's not like flat, but it's flat enough to be annoying. And John does a really good job at just being methodical, saving his tires, making sure he's at the right place at the right time at the end. Really expect a big night from him. I could really also see. I mentioned him earlier in the show. Mark Gonzalez. He's gonna start entering. I swear, he's gonna start entering that Joey Logano arc where John's been John. Mark has been kind of quiet this year, which is weird to say. And there's been a few races lately he's been in. I know he's been busy. I know he's been away, taking his rig elsewhere, like having an unfamiliar setting and things like that. That's affected his race performance. He just hasn't looked like Mark. And I think if anybody is hungry for momentum, it's Mark. Like there could be a huge narrative brewing where we've went this entire regular season and kind of forgot about last year's champion. And he's been around, he's been lurking. And man, if he catches fire at the right time, like Mark gets to be unstoppable. And I'm really excited to see that if he's got that up his sleeve.
Certainly would be a time to get hot. And as you mentioned, a track that John is good at, but a track that I have seen Mark be very dominant at as well. So should things fall the right way for Mark and maybe not so well for John this week, there is a good possibility that we see Mark in the winner's circle. And it wouldn't shock me to see Mark just leapfrog from that momentum into the playoffs and really make a amazing run, especially with the tracks that we have lined up. So it's something that you'll definitely want to keep an eye on. But really, any of these guys, especially the lower end of that playoff field, keep an eye out. Who knows? They might have been putting in some extra laps this week, knowing that, hey, if I get that win, I get that a little bit extra boost, that little bit extra momentum heading into playoffs. So really, it's on the table for anybody. It is a short track, so possibilities are endless. Short track, short tempers. Anything could happen to those guys up front, but on the flip side of that, anything could happen with those guys behind you taking advantage of those wrecks that are happening in front of them. So keep an eye out. Keep your heads cool and level as much as you can this week, and keep an eye on those tires because that's where the fun's really going to happen in those short track turns.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to Richmond. If anybody is out there trying to pick the regular season champ to go out on top with a bookend victory on the season, it's not going to happen. So I'll take my 2 wins and my 15 bonus points and move on. So with Ricky not being here this week, that does mathematically lock me into a position where I got a chance, and that's all I can ask for now. So I know John's going to be really, really good come playoff time. I know Mark, like all he's got to do is get in the door, man, and he's going to be super quick. Ricky, man, it just seems like every single year when we're in a playoff run with Ricky, something happens or work comes along and he's not able to make things happen and consistently make the field. One of the rules for playoffs is like, yeah, your win counts. If you like, when you're in a round, if you're a playoff driver, you can win and move on, but you got to do all 3. And if you don't, then you revert back to points. Your win doesn't lock you in. So that's going to push everybody other than me to just show up and not rely on wins. So which I could use any help I can get at this point. So if I do get to round 2, that might be where the points leader falls off a cliff. Dover, Watkins Glen, Indy, not great tracks. So we'll see. But we got one more. And David, I know you've been out of the game for a while, and but you are impartial at this point, and would like to ask your opinion on who your race winner pick is for this week at Richmond.
I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say that even though Mark has a potential for a great week, even though John has amazing potential for this week, I'm going to pick a guy that I'm not sure I have ever seen win here in Friday Night Fuel. But as far as consistency, he is up there. He does what he needs to do. You find him late in a run working his way towards the front. I would like to see Mr. Bill Sleep make his way to the front of this field. He is consistent. Even at these short tracks, I have seen him run very well. Late in the runs, I know it is an absolute long shot, but if I have to pick an absolute long shot just once to see it come true, I'm going to take that chance, and I'm going to say, Mr. Bill Sleep, it is your time. Be steady, be consistent, and wait for that mistake up in front of you.
Wow, that would be amazing. I know I would be stoked to see Bill win. And look, I mean, I just want to double check here real quick. I don't want to mess this up, but we were in another league. Where was that? I wish I could remember like right off the top of my head, but I don't. And I'm so sorry that I don't. Let me pull this up real quick. Yeah, we were at Phoenix and in another league, and Bill had really good long run speed at Phoenix, which, I mean, in terms of its shape, it's very different from Richmond, but it's in that category of like, it ain't flat, but it's not like it's too flat to be not annoying. And Phoenix, same way. And Bill wound up securing a top 5 at that track and really put on a show in a super competitive field. I know Bill's been on a podcast recently talking about how he's putting in a lot of extra work. He is now retired, and so he has every right to do that. And he's got a lot of experience racing legends in real life, and he is able. Like he is absolutely able. I would lose my mind. I would push that car to victory lane. Like, oh, yes. If you have the script, sir, bravo.
I hope I see it. Bill, here is your opportunity. Go out there, get all that practice you can between now and tomorrow night. Make me proud. But in all seriousness, Mark, John, really great guys to race with, usually really quick. If for whatever reason they have an off week, that's all it takes for somebody that is consistent, that is up there. And it might not be Bill, but I do believe that if John and if Mark do not have a steady week, that you will see a new winner emerge. I don't think it's going to be one of the same winners that we have seen from the season. So I'll leave with that and say that tomorrow night at Richmond, with the exclusion of Mark or John, you will see a new winner if they don't make it to victory lane.
Wow, good on you. And man, you waited a long time to come back, but here you are firing away. So good stuff. I just want to give you an opportunity before we log off here. Like, any general thoughts on like the league or being able to come back here. I mean, I know your ambition is always to hang out with this group. I know you really want to be here and do this. Life is changing for you, so could be some opportunities down the road. But you being the special guest, I kind of wanted to give you a little bit of time to speak your mind.
Uh, I absolutely love this league. As mentioned earlier in the broadcast, I am one of the admins of this league, and I feel absolutely terrible that I had to take a huge step back as far as driving. And then, as the admin team knows, I took just as much of a step back there from admin responsibilities. I have not been around this season as much as I have wanted to. But absolutely, I love this league 110%. One of my first priorities as soon as I get to that steady, stable spot, and especially with that steady, stable internet, is to come race with this group. I would love to see every single one of the drivers that are currently in this league out there on track with me. I have gotten an opportunity to watch some of the races, whether it be replays from like you or from Ricky or from anybody, or catching glimpses of screenshots here and there, even if they're incidents reported in the Discord channels. I take all of that to heart. I keep an eye on it. My responsibility as an admin, typically, even when I am around, is to be that impartial voice of reason. I come into every incident. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Zach Woods, my best friend of how many years. I'm gonna say you race like an idiot there if you race like an idiot. So I hope to be around. I hope this league hangs around, and I hope to see you all heading into the future when I do get that opportunity to really step in and make my mark on this league. I would really love to come back, and as Zach knows, I haven't gotten a win yet. I would love for this to be the one league where I can really sink my teeth in and chase that victory down.
Yep. There ain't nobody here rooting it for more than me. And can't wait. Cannot wait. I've told people for years that everything I do on plate tracks is because David Mosbaugh taught me. And when we wound up winning Daytona, man, just to be able to be thankful that I got a guy like Ricky to push me. But then to think like, man, like it would have been awesome to have that one car out there. And just so excited for what's ahead for you, and really, really hopeful that it's sooner rather than later when it comes to getting back into Friday Night Fuel. I want to thank all of y'all for tuning in. I know it was a bit of a chaotic show, but we had a lot of fun. This show tonight is really special. I cannot wait to get back into the groove of things with Ricky. As mentioned before, listen, this is Ricky and I's baby, and we're very thankful for you, David, to be flexible and come on in while Ricky moves. Ricky, if you're watching, Vanessa, if you're watching, have fun pushing boxes, and because we had a great time here on the show. Other than that, my name is Zach Woods, and for my buddy David, you're all fueled up and ready to go. Take care. Have a good night. See you, everybody. Bye.
Just two guys named Ricky and Zach. Strum that rhythm, never look back. Easy talking when racing's a blast. Just here on the High Octane Podcast.